back to my tiny corner of the internet. Today is a Wednesday, which means I've got another book talk video for you guys. Today is going to be part 2 of my historical fiction videos, but technically 2 are historical fiction and 2 are biographical, but from, around the same time periods. So we're going to do that, and then also I've got a couple of shout-outs to do at the end, so stay tuned for that. So let's just jump right into the books. The first one is the most recent one I've read. It's called The Taming of the Queen by Philippa Gregory, who, if you remember from my last video, I mentioned, I think 2 of her other books, or 1 anyway, but she's just really the master of this genre right now, and I love her telling, her storytelling. She writes in a way that's beautiful, but also very flowing. It's not, it's not difficult to follow, and it's just, she's a great storyteller. So this story is the story of Catherine Parr, and she was the final wife of King Henry VIII. She managed to outlive him and wasn't murdered. So, what an interesting story. So it's, when we first meet Catherine, she's a member of the court, and she's a widow. She's been widowed twice already, and she's about 30 years old. And she's carrying on an affair with another member of the court, a man named Thomas Seymour. And she's very much in love with him. And then she's summoned by the king, in that he has his sights on her to be his new wife. And unfortunately for her, you can't really decline a marriage proposal from the king. So she has to cut ties with Thomas. And, this isn't any king, this is King Henry, and she can't even look at Thomas for fear of, him declaring her any number of things and then having her head cut off or some similar fate. So she goes into it, and she is ready, and she is going to be the queen that beats this and doesn't get killed or otherwise set aside. And it's just about her, the ways that she not really manipulates the king, but kind of works hard to please him in every manner, despite, there's a bit of religious conflict in here, and there are times when he tries to find her for crimes, and also there's just little things throughout that he does to sort of remind her of her place. One thing in particular was her and him and his 3 children, which she has brought back to the court, and she's sort of made a family for all of them together, whereas before her they were all living in separate castles. They're all sitting for a portrait, and weeks and weeks go by, the painter's working on it and working on it, and when the painting is unveiled, it's the king, his children, her body, but the king has requested that he paint the face of a previous wife, the mother of his heir, Edward, who died, and who he kind of regards as the love of his life, onto her face. And so Catherine has to stand there and sort of remain composed and not show that she's humiliated and hurt. And it's just, I remember I was laying in bed when I was reading that. My husband was asleep next to me, and I let out an audible, oh snap, I think, during the unveiling. But it's a great story. It's impossible to put down. She's such an interesting character. King Henry is also such an interesting character. And the 2 of them together, it was just an excellent story. Next up, we have Poison by Sarah Poole. This is the story of Francesca, and her father was murdered, kind of under mysterious circumstances, and she becomes determined to avenge him. And in doing so, she, against all odds really, becomes the official poisoner for one of Italy's most notorious families, the Borgias. I'm endlessly fascinated with this family, the Borgias. I love reading about them, and this was kind of an interesting roundabout way to read about them through the point of view of somebody outside of the family like that. And this was very interesting. I've heard some criticisms that a lot of people found the story a bit disjointed, but I thought it was great. It's the debut novel for this author, and to me that's quite accomplished. It's a great story, beautifully told. And it's nice having a heroine who is a poisoner. Like, you know, that's normally a role for men in stories, especially back then. And I mean, not that there's a lot of poisoners now, but you know what I mean. I just liked that point of view of the story. So I definitely recommend it. Now, I think that this is the first of a series. I haven't read any of the others. But I definitely would if I ever come across them, I'll definitely read them. So yes, recommend that for sure. Next up, we have Galileos Daughter by Dava Sobel. This is such a good book. This is so interesting. It's like a historical biography, I guess you would say. It's about Galileo, despite the name. You know, it's his biography, despite the name of the book. Though she does play a very important part in it. Galileo, of course, was the father of astronomy. Excuse me. And Einstein himself called him the father of modern physics and modern science in general, which, you know, that's high praise. So this is kind of told, so it's about Galileo and then his eldest daughter, who's a nun, and she's also his confidant. And it's told through, it's brilliantly researched, I really have to say. And it's told through letters that Galileo and his daughter would write to each other. So that kind of sets the narrative for the book. And a lot of it too deals with the 17th century intense battle between religious belief and scientific knowledge, and it's brilliantly written, brilliantly researched, and an excellent read. So I definitely recommend that. Okay. And the final book, my friends, is a little lighter, on the lighter side, and this is called Sex with Kings, and it's by Eleanor Herman. And it says 500 years of adultery, power, rivalry, and revenge. This book is great. It's, you know, it tells the tale of many mistresses that have lived and loved kings throughout, you know, history. Some of the more notorious mistresses, perhaps. It tells history from an angle and a side that we don't really ever get to hear about because, you know, that's not really talked about in the history books. But it's a delightful read. It's really funny in some parts. Like, there's some laugh out loud passages, and, you know, if you just want a kind of fun, light read that's kind of like sitting around and gossiping with your girlfriend, this is excellent. Plus, there's just something fun about it, about reading about these kings and their mistresses, and I would definitely recommend it. So there we go. Those are today's books. It is a beautiful day here. It's hot as all get out. I had a fan blowing on me from about 2 inches from my face right up until the second I hit record with one hand and turned the fan off with the other. So hopefully nothing's melting off. Oh, so let's do some shout outs, you guys. I've got 3 channels I want to mention. As always, I'm going to link their channels down below. Please check them out, subscribe, let them know that I sent you, and that would be wonderful. So the first one is the Desert Rose Journals. She is just a wonderful, sweet girl who comments such nice things, and I love watching her videos. She's You know, she's in a different country, so she has, you know, unboxings that are unfamiliar to me, but I love watching, and just really wonderful. Some videos are very thought-provoking and important to listen to, and it's wonderful hearing her perspective on things. So definitely check her out. The second one is Ashley G. Yes, Ashley G. Another great YouTuber who is just so sweet and supportive, and I just love watching her videos and getting to know her more through her channel. So nice. And the third one is Kichi Beauty. I hope I'm saying that right, I think. Kichi Beauty. Again, just a wonderful woman who, she does a lot of beauty related videos, but also videos where she kind of gives advice, and she's just so much fun to listen to, and she has some really, really wise things to say. So definitely follow those guys out. Tomorrow I'm going to have a video up that's a collab with another YouTuber about summer essentials, and then we'll have another video on Friday. So let's finish this week out, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.